everyone. Thanks for watching Word of the Week. My name's Justin.
And I'm Peter.
I'm Kayla.
Hey everyone, I'm Elaine.
So you're probably wondering, where is the pastors? Well, video team's taking over today.
So normally you'll see us editing, posting, doing behind the scenes stuff, but look forward to us as we will be filming future videos for Word of the Week.
So please check out this video.
We put no stumbling block in anyone's path so that our ministry will not be discredited. Rather, as servants of God, we commend ourselves in every way, in great endurance, in troubles, hardships, and distresses, in beatings, imprisonments, and riots, in hard work, sleepless nights and hunger, in purity, understanding, patience, and kindness, in the Holy Spirit and in sincere love, in truthful speech and in the power of God, with weapons of righteousness in the right hand and in the left, through glory and dishonor, bad report and good report, genuine yet regarded as impostors, known yet regarded as unknown, dying and yet we live on, beaten and yet not killed, sorrowful yet always rejoicing, poor yet making many rich, having nothing and yet possessing everything.
What pops in your head when you hear the word difficulty?
I don't want to limit it to just one, but immediately two words come to mind. The first one's going to be headship, and the second one is going to be mother. Let me start with the former. So for headship, I heard it a long time ago in a Pastor Tony sermon. I don't know which one, but he did say something very relevant to what the word headship meant to my life. My definition of headship means that as the man of the household, as God has ordained and created you to be the man of the household, it means you got a certain responsibility and a burden on your shoulders. But I think you could help me out with this, is that we're both older brothers, so we relate on a very emotional level of having that expectation placed on you versus what you're actually doing at the present moment. So for me, I think my mom has had a lot of expectations on me, and that's made it very difficult for me to process what is expected versus what I'm doing now. What about you, bro?
My family is it's not something that's mentioned explicitly, but I think just being in a role of the oldest in the family, both among my cousin as well as in my immediate family, it's it's an expectation that I shove into myself. And so with everything that I do, and I could imagine for you as well, you have a tendency to put yourself down, or you don't really give yourself enough breathing room because you're always feeling like in the future I'm gonna be the one taking care of the family, right? So it's not good enough for me to do this, and sometimes there's not even time for you to relax or kind of reflect or be sad about it. You just need to move on. So
good words.
For me, I think the first word that comes to my mind is surrender. I wrote this on my clipboard the other day, and I just kept looking at that same word, and I realized how difficult it is to surrender any of our own plans that we have created for ourselves. And I think this year it's been hard to let go of those disappointments that I've had from plans that I've created, and surrendering it to the Lord and allowing Him to just carry those burdens and sadness and suffering. It's been hard, but I feel like a lot of my adult life, it's been a struggle to surrender to, because I'm always trying to take it upon myself to kind of rely on my own strength to handle my own issues. So I think that's the first word that comes to mind for me when I think of the word difficulty. How about you?
I think for myself, the word that comes to mind is pain. I think pain is definitely something that's really difficult. And I think this year especially, I think I don't think I've been through more pain than this year, just because of like everything that's going on in my family, with my parents having cancer and the loss of my grandmother. I think it was like the first time I've actually lost someone that was close to me. So I think just that part is super difficult.
Name a time that you've learned something through someone else's trials and tribulations.
I think for me, I mean, it's pretty much just the attitude that our, when growing up in our youth group, like our youth leader had, the mentality of being very generous with your resources, with your time, being vulnerable with the youth kids. One specific memory that I recalled was when I remember I think it was like in 11th grade. There's this one time where and Sam took me out because he wanted to teach me how to read the Bible, and we went to the Starbucks place, and I remember I only had like $4 left or something, and I wasn't able to get what he was getting, and so I told him like, hey, if anything, don't worry about it, I'll pay you back. But something that he kept re-emphasizing, and it wasn't just that one instant, it was practically every other time. It's like, don't worry about it. And eventually when you get out and you work, then yeah, that's not even going to be a problem. But what matters now is that with what I kind of blessed you with, I want you in some other way bless someone else or pay it forward. This reveals to me slowly about the character of God, and he's very loving. His love is something that we don't deserve.
I feel like I'm still figuring out like whose trials and tribulations that I learned from. I feel like there's too many people in my life. I can't think of someone's who is so like definitive for me.
Well, it doesn't have to be. I think God uses multiple people in our life, but maybe one person like right now that you can maybe think of for your situation or our situation right now, whatever that is.
It's Kayla, guys.
What hardship from me did you learn about? Or was it you just throwing that out there?
I'm talking about like you just going through your hardships and how you still choose to be faithful to God and obedient to Him.
Oh, that's true. I learned from myself too.
Through that, it inspires me to want to continue to draw closer to God. Even though, like, I think sometimes when like we compare our own trials and tribulations to other, we may feel like ours are so minuscule in comparison and so small that we're just like, oh man, like, we shouldn't even be like complaining or bickering about our problems.
Yeah.
But when you see someone going through like some intense stuff, you're just like, whoa. Like they're still like in the trenches, they're still working hard or whatever and still being faithful. Shouldn't I be? I don't know. I feel like,
I like that.
I think when I hear of other people's situations in general, that's what inspires me.
Describe a time you felt supported during your darkest times.
Sometimes we like bless others a lot, and we're just like using our time or singleness and just whatever it is like to bless others. But I think sometimes God allows, like you said, for us to slow down so that others can bless you. And then just remembering how that felt, like you're able to even bless someone else even more. Definitely the time when I found out that my mom had cancer. I think that was one of the most darkest times in my life. I think anyone that has ever experienced something like that has definitely felt that kind of like heart-stopping moment where you're just unsure, uncertain about the future, and you're just so scared. One thing I do remember very clearly is just seeing the community come together to pray for my mom was very touching. But not only that, I also had a sister that just comforted me during that time, and she just put her arms around me and said, hey, it's okay, you don't have to do this by yourself. And she also shared a time when her mom, I believe she had a tumor, and just her being able to relate to me just gave me a lot of comfort, a lot of peace. And it just really helped me to know that, hey, I'm not alone. I have a community that can be there with me. And I think God used those people to remind me that, you know, that's also God being with me as well. From that experience, when someone else has a similar issue, I was able to empathize with them a lot more.
Yeah.
I remember when another sister had a mom that was going through a stroke or recovering from a stroke. I remember just remembering myself in her shoes and you know, that worry, all that, and just being there to kind of comfort her and support her. And yeah, so that's what I think. God just uses our difficulties to bless others as well.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that we are part of a community, because I feel like being part of a community allows us to find that comfort from other brothers and sisters who are just going through trials too, right? And we're kind of reflecting and being able to kind of give back what we went through.
From this text and experience, how should we look at trials and tribulations going forward?
I think it's kind of hard because, I mean, of course, you would think that the answer would be, oh, like, we should look at these trials and tribulations and kind of know that it's going to lead us into something even better, something greater.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot easier said than done. But for sure, I think that it brings us to a point where, for me, I would say trusting in God. I think that's the main thing is, hey, trust in God, His character, that God allowed this to happen in our life for a reason. And it may hurt, but I think we have hope that this hurt and pain is going to lead to something so much better, so much greater.
Yeah. I think for me, I have to like rewire my brain, and I've been trying to like train myself to see that trials and tribulations are for my good. And I think oftentimes when we go through so much, we want to just expect the worst so we're prepared.
Yeah.
But I think I have to rewire myself and train myself to just see that, you know what, regardless of what circumstance it may be, God has some good for it.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Gotta be honest with you, man. It sounded super epic, and like I can still hear it ringing in my head right now. But just to like condense it into a more like day-to-day thing, I would just want to say, like, don't lose that sense of enchantment, of knowing God is bigger than your problems, and at the same time being curious about like how God can take this problem, the situation, and turn it into for good, for His good. Because sometimes I'd say like that's a big problem with like how we deal with things like for immediate results. Is it just taking it kind of slow, and just being like, wow, God, you did this, and this in a way that I didn't expect it, like that, or that. You know, I think that sense of curiosity is something that we could instill in ourselves again.
I think as Christians, right, if we believe in Jesus Christ wholeheartedly, we can be assured that Jesus has got us every step of the way, and that
Absolutely.
everything that we're going through now, the hardships, it's meant to build up our character.
100%. 100%.
All right. Thanks, man. Thanks for being vulnerable.
Thank you for being
with us.
vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, that concludes our time together. Guys, thanks for watching.
Don't forget to spread love, not fear.